The most common question I get asked is when should I take the worker at 2 CP? For those of you who are newer to Ark Nova, when you reach 2 conservation points or 2 shields, you get a choice between a card upgrade or an extra worker. For the longest time, this wasn't even a decision. It used to be completely unheard of to ever go for the worker on 2 shields. But as more games have been played and players have improved and the meta has evolved, it's become much more commonplace to take the worker. So to shortly answer the question of when should I take the worker at 2 CP, it's whenever you feel like it. And what I mean by that is it's more of a stylistic choice. You make hundreds, if not thousands of decisions over a game of Ark Nova, so taking an upgrade or taking a worker is not likely to be the determining factor of why you win or lose. Either decision is just going to lead you on a different path to victory. Let's start with the cons of taking a worker on 2 CP. If you do take the worker, it means you miss out on a permanent upgrade. Normally in Ark Nova you can upgrade 4 of your action cards. If you do not upgrade your action card at 2 CP, it means you have a maximum of 3 upgrades for the whole game. When I first started out, that was a terrifying thought. Upgrades allow you to be more efficient with your actions, which should hopefully lead you to winning the game faster. But one thing newer players tend to do, and I certainly did this when I started, is they tend to overvalue how important upgrades are to actually winning the game. Because you can win an Ark Nova game with 0 upgrades. It would take a bit longer than usual, but it's certainly possible to do. But I see it time and time again. Someone's on about 20 points, they have projects to do, but they make the decision to grab their first partner zoo, then their second partner zoo, just so they can get association upgraded. That allows them to donate once or twice. And maybe that feels good, but the time they've taken to grab 2 partner zoos, they probably could have won about 5 turns faster if they'd done projects instead. So as I've grown as a player, I've started to realize that upgrades are not as important to winning the game, and that's made me more open to taking the worker at 2 CP. Now let's talk about the pros. The obvious pros, you just get your second worker immediately. And when I was starting out, I couldn't understand why you'd do that. I mean, getting the second worker, yes, I understand. But you're forgoing your upgrade on 2 shields just so you can get another worker, which allows you to then grab a university, which gives you an upgrade. Why not just get the upgrade? But it's a little bit deeper than that. So yes, you get your second worker immediately, but the follow-on effect is it also means you get your third worker faster. And the third worker is an important breakpoint to being able to support 2 projects in 1 round. And then the follow-on effect of that is it's much easier to get your fourth worker, and on a lot of maps that can be worth 1 CP or 2 CP. So now it's actually giving you a tangible benefit that helps you end the game faster. And yes, you have ways of getting a fourth worker without getting one at 2 CP, but that involves either finding the right card like a talented communicator or grabbing your third partner zoo, which is pretty slow. So with all that discussion in mind, I'm going to look at the 3 most recent examples of where I took a worker at 2 CP and explain my reasoning why. And again, it's a stylistic choice. I would feel very confident taking worker at 2 CP every single game and still maintaining a very similar win rate to what I do now. And I think I could also never take it at 2 CP and still maintain about the same win rate. So in this first game, I'm about to support the Habitats project at 3. So the first thing going through my mind is, if I got another worker now, would I be able to spend it in time before the break? And I know the answer to this is yes, because my opponent has spent their worker, but they've upgraded sponsors, and I did see them publicly snap a talented communicator. So they're about to play that and get a second worker themselves. Because I'm nowhere near close to causing the break, this gives me an extra incentive to grab a worker myself. Now I could grab the worker manually as the project reward, but I also really want to get snapping here because there are 3 pretty good cards on the display for me. There's the Cayman, which fits the Americas project, which I'm going for. There's the Reindeer, which is the same thing, and there's the Technology Institute, which is just a generally very strong card. I also have Research Zoo, so I'm extra incentivized to get it. So two things guiding me towards this decision are, I want to get the extra worker to stay in the round with my opponent, and I want a card from the display here. The third thing going through my mind is, if I were to get a card upgrade, what would it be? And there's nothing that really benefits me immediately. I could upgrade cards, but I don't have hand size, so I'd likely have to discard the extra card that I grab. I could upgrade Association, but I don't have a ton of money to be donating. I can not even afford the alligator next round at this point of time. I could upgrade build, but I want to build a 4-size enclosure anyway for the alligator in my hand, and for that I don't need build upgraded. I could upgrade animals, but it's not going to help me immediately because I can't play an animal this round. I don't have enough money. So I don't think an upgrade is going to meaningfully benefit me this round. I'm fine skipping it. And then the fourth deciding factor is the map that we're on. We're on Research Institute. Getting the fourth worker here gives you 2 extra conservation points. That gives me a lot of incentive to grab a worker on 2 CP. Then I can very easily get one from 8 reputation, and my last one, probably on my last turn, just getting the worker from the left bonus. So I do take snapping here. I snap up the Technology Institute and take the worker on 2 CP. And next move, the opponent does play their Talented Communicator. And yeah, I'm reasonably happy to stay in this round. I don't mind doing a cards action. When I play my Federal Grants, I'll be able to build a size 4 for my Alligator. And even if I wasn't happy staying this round, it's not like I can cause the break in the next 2 or 3 moves, so I might as well just get a worker anyway. Game 2, I'm kind of faced with a similar decision, but this time I'm the first player to act. My opponent's just done cards. They could support birds at 2, but I think more likely they're going to support birds at 4 with their bird combo here. And this is what I mean by it's stylistic, because I think there's very good arguments to take the worker at 2 or upgrade something like build or animals here. In fact, what I do may even be wrong. I support Europe for 2. I take snapping because I think the display looks pretty interesting. What I'm eyeing at the moment is the horse and the lorikeet combo, just getting the double petting zoo down. I can snap up the horse here, build a petting zoo with my next action, draw the lorikeet from range. And then during the next break, I'm pretty interested in the giant panda as a speculative pick. It is a herbivore to go with my meerkat den. It matches the herbivore's base project, and it's just a very good animal if I can ever get it played. So I do take the worker, snap up the horse. And maybe it worked out for me in this case because Talented Communicator just became available, which means maybe my opponent changed their course of action. Because if we look at the situation, they could have just grabbed a second university and broke 7 before I get to spend my worker. Having said that, I also do have X tokens to be able to spend it if I need to. But I think upgrading build would have also been equally viable there because I do have enough money to be able to fully build and play both petting zoo animals. But the reason I wanted to take the worker was, in an ideal world, I do want to at least play the meerkat den this round, which means I don't want to be pushing the break, which means having another worker is just something, it's just another action for me to do this round. Similar to Research Institute, the map kind of does play a part in the decision. For the 4th worker, you get 1 bonus conservation point here, but typically what happens when you take the worker at 2 CP is you lose an upgrade for the rest of the game, and typically that upgrade is going to be build. Park Restaurant is a fairly decent map for not upgrading build on it. It's got lots of wide open space, so it's pretty easy to navigate, and if you ever do desperately need the aviary or the reptile house, it is a project reward on the left. So for that reason, you can get away with not upgrading build on this map a lot more than some of the other maps. Game 3, I'm about to support 2 Africa, but this time I'm second player to act this round. I have the knowledge that my opponent has already grabbed a worker for this round. As my sponsors is stuck on 0, I can't easily cause the break very quickly, so that gives me some extra incentive to match them with a worker. We're also on Ice Cream Parlors, where the last worker gives a bonus 2 CP, so I'm comfortable with my decision to take the worker on 2 for this game. But I take the wrong reward. Instead of snapping this game, I think I should have taken 2 size reward. Firstly, for the display, there's nothing really that good to snap up. I decided to snap up expert in small animals because I have some small animals in my hand. Looking at my endgames, I have small animal and sponsored, so I'm thinking it's got to be okay for both of those at the very least. But I don't have hand size, and I already have 7 cards in hand, so I don't think snapping is going to be very beneficial for me here. But 2 size makes sense because I already have the Bird of Paradise and the Sun Bear, which I definitely want to play at some point. It helps me get a bit closer to the water so I can play my penguin pool. Looking at the upgrades I could have got instead, I wasn't particularly excited about upgrading build here because I don't really have a lot of money this round. My plan is to play the Duke, so that costs 17, it leaves me with 7 money left over. So really, if I'm upgrading build, I can build maybe a pavilion and a 2 size or a 1 size and a 2 size. Doesn't really feel like an efficient use of my build action. But I think there's a fairly decent argument to upgrade animals, as I do have the next animal to play. It's going to give me a reputation that gets me very close to 5 reputation, which is another upgrade. So yeah, I do take snapping for expert and small, and take the worker. If I were to play this again today, I'd take 2 size reward. If I were to play it again tomorrow, maybe I'd just upgrade builder animals instead. So with all that in mind, I'd encourage everyone to at least try it out once. Having that extra worker early does sort of change the dynamics of the game. If you have more workers than your opponent, then generally it means that you have more efficient actions to do in this round. It sort of puts the onus on the opponent to cause the break. And the opposite's true. If your opponent has 2 workers and you only have 1, then a lot of the time it's on you to cause the break and go through rounds really quickly, which can be annoying when you have sponsors that you want to play. When you combine the fact that having a worker advantage is good, but then also the fact that these income rewards are really powerful, then you start to understand why people take the worker at 2 CP quite often now. When I say quite often, I would probably do it in 10% of my games, but if you had asked me a year ago, it was 0%. But hopefully this was helpful. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I know there are a lot more people that do take the 2CP worker more often than I do, so I'd love to read those insights. And thanks all for watching.